Look at your hand right now. Really look at it. Whatever shade your skin is, it feels like an unchangeable fact. Maybe you are as pale as a piece of paper. Maybe you are dark enough to absorb sunlight like a solar panel. Today, we treat skin color as a fashion choice, a beauty standard, or a social label. We spend billions on creams to brighten it or hours on beaches to darken it. But for your ancestors, skin color wasn't an aesthetic choice. It was a vital biological bargain. A slow-motion survival deal between your DNA and a giant nuclear reactor sitting 150 million kilometers away. And the sun, to be honest, was definitely not playing fair. Now pull your hand away from the creams and the screens. Take your mind back 300,000 years. To the time when modern humans first appeared in the sun-drenched plains of East Africa. Strip away the cities, the clothes, and the cosmetic products. Here is the first truth you must accept. Every single one of your ancestors had dark skin. Not most of them. Not the majority. All of them. Regardless of where you are from today, your roots are hidden within that deep, protective pigment. Back then, white people did not exist. In fact, the concept of whiteness didn't even exist in the human vocabulary. You were probably taught that races are fixed categories. You were told that some people are born white and others black, and it's been that way forever. Simple. Predictable. Permanent. But this information is wrong. Completely wrong. Skin color is not a category, it is a setting. It is a calibration system your body uses to adapt to the environment. For 97% of our history, that dial was turned all the way to dark. The fair skin we see in Northern Europe today is actually a brand new invention. It is younger than the invention of the wheel. It is like a biological patch released in the final minutes of human evolution. Here is the truth that will shock you. Light skin is not an evolved state, and dark skin is not a primitive structure. Dark skin is the original configuration. It is the baseline setting. We didn't become black, we started that way to stay alive. Then something changed. Humans moved. The sun grew weak. And the massive armor that saved us in Africa began to kill us in the north. To survive, we had to tear apart our own armor. We restructured our DNA to let the light in. And this wasn't an accident, it was a brutal trade-off. Don't think of your skin as just packaging. It is your largest organ, and it does dozens of jobs at once. Under the most intense UV radiation on Earth, in Africa, your skin's number one job was defense. UV radiation is an invisible energy that breaks chemical bonds and shatters DNA. According to Nina Jablonski's landmark study, melanin acts as a natural, built-in sunscreen. The more melanin you have, the more effectively you block radiation from leaking into deeper tissues. Dark skin wasn't just an appearance, it was a biological superweapon. It prevented cancer and kept our ancestors healthy enough to reproduce. But wait. If dark skin was so perfect, why would evolution ever give it up? If you have a 5-star shield that prevents cancer, why would you throw it away? Why would you trade your armor for thin, transparent skin that burns in minutes? The answer is, UV radiation doesn't just attack your cells. It attacks something else. Something hidden deep in your bloodstream. The secret molecule that decides whether a life can even begin. There is a molecule in your body called folate, or vitamin B9. This is the fuel for building a new life. Without it, an embryo's neural tube, the part that becomes the brain and spine, cannot close. The result is catastrophic miscarriages or severe developmental disorders. Research by anthropologist Wiesner, cited alongside Branda and Eaton, proves that UV light penetrates the skin and literally destroys folate. In Africa, a light-skinned woman's folate levels would collapse under the sun. This meant fewer babies survived. This was the real reason Africa stayed dark-skinned. Melanin wasn't just blocking cancer, it was protecting the unborn. So, we have a shield that protects our DNA and our babies. However, 70,000 years ago, small groups of humans began a slow migration out of Africa. They moved first to the Middle East, then Europe, then Asia. As they moved north, the sun began to hit the Earth at a lower angle. The atmosphere filtered the UV rays. Days grew shorter. Winters grew longer. Suddenly, that relentless radiation was gone. And in its place, a new problem arrived. Your skin is not just a shield. It is a solar panel. And it needs UV light to produce a very specific, vital molecule. That molecule is vitamin D. Vitamin D is not an optional supplement. It is the body's master key for calcium absorption. Without it, calcium does not reach your bones. Your bones stay soft. They bend. In children, this is called rickets. In adult women, it causes the pelvic bones to soften and deform. In a world without hospitals, a deformed pelvis was a death sentence for both mother and baby during birth. That magnificent shield was now blocking the light needed to keep bones strong. The natural selection algorithm faced a conflict. Should you keep the dark skin and die of bone decay? Or should you lose the pigment and risk cancer? Evolution is a cold and heartless calculator. It doesn't care about your original color. It only cares about what keeps you alive now. In the low-light north, the cancer risk was low. But the rickets risk was massive. In every generation, individuals with slightly less melanin could produce slightly more vitamin D. Their bones were stronger. They survived winters better. They had healthier children. The algorithm simply reversed its inputs. Light skin became a new necessity for survival. This wasn't just about looking pale. It was about the shape of the skeleton. Imagine a young mother trying to give birth during the Ice Age. Her nutrition is poor, there is no sun, and her dark skin blocks every scrap of UV light. Her pelvis is soft. It collapses under pressure. She dies. The baby dies. That genetic line ends there. But her neighbor, born with a random mutation that makes her skin a bit lighter, can produce enough vitamin D. She survives. Her children survive. This is how whiteness was born. It was not by choice, but because of the brutal necessity of bone health. But here is the most interesting part. We imagine a slow and steady fading that lasted for 40,000 years. But what if I told you that 10,000 years ago, Europeans were still dark-skinned? What if the white person we know today is actually a very, very new invention? Why did it take so long? Meet Cheddar Man. He lived about 10,000 years ago in what is now England. Ancient DNA analysis published in Nature revealed a shocking truth. Cheddar Man had dark to medium dark skin, black curly hair, but his eyes were bright blue. He had been living in northern latitudes for thousands of years and was still dark. This proves that fading wasn't just about latitude. Hunter-gatherers ate a diet rich in fish, liver, and organ meats. They were getting their vitamin D from food. They didn't need light skin yet. Everything changed 8,000 years ago with the Neolithic Revolution. Humans stopped hunting and started farming. Their diets shifted entirely to grains, wheat, and barley. Their nutritional vitamin D intake didn't just drop, it practically collapsed. Suddenly, these communities became 100% dependent on the vitamin their skin could produce. And because their skin was still dark, their bodies began to fail. The transition to farming was the real trigger that forced the human species to turn white. Think of poor Grunk. He stops chasing mammoths because farming seems easier. He eats bread and porridge all day. But his skin is still that beautiful African darkness. Suddenly, his legs begin to bend. His teeth get soft. He works harder in the fields but grows even weaker. He traded a protein-rich diet for a carbohydrate nightmare. And now his DNA has to lose its melanin to fix this mistake. Grunk literally sacrificed his tan for a slice of bread. The colors were different. But the equation was the same. How do we survive under the sun? The same thing was happening in East Asia. But here is the crazy part. People there used completely different genes to reach the same result. Europeans and East Asians reached light skin through completely different molecular paths. This is called convergent evolution. Nature found the same answer more than once because the pressure was so strong. We were all just trying to stop our bones from breaking. We were all just trying to survive under the same star. The history of light skin is written with the pain of children. Every white population today is actually the result of a survival story. They are the descendants of those who survived a time when vitamin D deficiency was a silent killer. Imagine the thousands of years when children could not walk. The years when mothers died in agony because the sun could not reach their blood. Today, we look at light skin as status or beauty. But in the eyes of evolution, this is a scar. This is proof of a desperate biological retreat caused by being deprived of light. We can see this struggle in the earth. Research published in the International Journal of Paleopathology identifies widespread rickets in Neolithic remains across Europe. The bones of early farmers are filled with signs of nutritional stress. They were pale because they were struggling. Their graves tell us that the transition to whiteness was rapid and violent. It happened the moment the diet broke down. The traces of this ancient bargain between diet and sun still lie beneath the ground. Now look at your hand again. Today we have vitamin D supplements. We have enriched milks and global food shipping. We have partially decoupled our biology from the sun. But your skin color still carries that 300,000-year-old message. If you are dark-skinned, your ancestors held their ground against radiation. If you are light-skinned, your ancestors made a desperate trade to save their bones. We built an entire civilization of prejudice around nothing but a vitamin D problem. The sun did not pick sides. It just shone indifferently. Every skin tone is an answer given to a question asked by a star. Dark skin is the default. Light skin is the patch. We are different calibrations of the same ancient armor. Your color is not who you are. It is only a record of where your ancestors stood. Back in my day, we didn't have buttons like these. You do. Use them, hit subscribe, and like this video.